Billy Bishop, William Stevenson, Tommy Prince, Andrew Minarski. These are names of Canadian military heroes most of us should recognize. But here's another. William Barker, Canada's most decorated soldier ever, finally getting a monument in his honor after 81 years, getting the respect he's due. What should we know about this man? Military historian Wayne Ralph, author of Barker, BC, told us all about him last night.
William Barker was born on the frontier of Manitoba in 1894, and when the First World War broke out, as a farm boy, he enlisted in the Canadian Mounted Rifles, trained as a machine gunner, and went overseas in June of 1915. He did about 6 months of hard operations in the Western Front trenches, and in March of 1916, he got to escape all that and get to fly with the Royal Flying Corps, first as an observer, then as a pilot, and then latterly as a fighter pilot, which is how we know him today.
What did Mr. Barker do, his performance, if you don't mind me putting it that way, in the war? What did he accomplish for Canada?
He flew more than 900 hours on operations, which is one of the highest totals of the war. When he got onto the Sopwith Camel, he actually was able, in 11 months, flying a single aircraft, B-6313, he was able to shoot down 50 enemy aircraft. And on the last battle of the war for him, on October 27, 1918, flying a Sopwith Snipe, he shot down 4 enemy aircraft in one mission, and for that action he received the Victoria Cross from King George V. When the King gave Barker his medals, he said that he had never presented 6 British decorations to one man before.
So by any standards, world standards, we would have to say that this was one world-class warrior.
No question. And Barker had a gift for war. He actually enjoyed fighting, and he was extremely talented at it. And at the same time, while shooting down enemy aircraft, he was able to protect his own men. Nobody who flew with William Barker on his wing died in combat.
Wayne Ralph, I need to ask you, as a person who has put up a website, as a person absolutely committed to making sure that everyone knows about the late Mr. Barker, does it bother you that very few people do know his name?
Well, of course it does, and when I went to Mount Pleasant Cemetery in 1991, I found that he didn't have a marker of his own at all. He was buried in his wife's family crypt with the name Smith on the door, and that motivated me to tell his story and at least give the story to Canadians and to really present this lost story of Canada's most decorated war hero. And the book was published in 1997, and it was republished in 2007. So it's had a good long life, and there is a story out there that Canadians can read. And now, today, the Lieutenant Governor will unveil a monument to William Barker outside the Mount Pleasant Cemetery Mausoleum, announcing him to the world.
Now, I know you're a modest man, a humble man, but I want you to take some credit, sir. It took a long fight, a long struggle to get that monument happening, and you're part of that. I want you to tell us about what that was like.
Well, I was approached about 18 months ago by a reader of my book, a man named John Wright with Ipsos here in Toronto, and he had gone to the cemetery and saw what I saw in 1991. And he said to me, we should do something about this. This is wrong that Canada's most decorated war hero, in fact, the British Empire's most decorated war hero, is in a tomb with the name Smith on the door. So I put him in touch with the grandchildren of William Barker, David, Alec, and Ian Mackenzie. And between those 3 grandchildren and John Wright here in Toronto, within 18 months, they were able to put together a designed monument and a public opportunity to unveil that monument, which takes place today.
I wonder if you could draw any kind of connection for me between what William Barker was doing all those years ago and what we're trying to accomplish in the world today. Are there any lessons to be learned there?
Well, I think the lesson for me is that William Barker was in many ways a very average, ordinary Canadian, particularly a Canadian growing up in Manitoba in the 19th century. And you would not have forecast for him the kind of illustrious career that he did have. But the truth is, there are many, many Canadians like William Barker. William Barker is actually a stereotypical Canadian hero and a Canadian war hero. But because in Canada we're rather shy and retiring and rather uncomfortable with the idea of boasting about war achievements and certainly war heroes. We've kind of concealed his achievements, and that's unfortunate, and it really is depriving this generation of young people with a good role model for not just being competent in war, but being competent in any operations or any career in life.
I think sometimes we mislead people by pretending that formal education is the only thing that matters. I think you would agree, based on your knowledge of history, and specifically William Barker, that values are as, if not more, and sometimes much more important than formal education. I wonder if you could identify for us tonight, Wayne Ralph, what are those central, key, core Canadian values that Mr. Barker had in spades?
Well, certainly William Barker had self-reliance. He had inventiveness. He modified the Winchester rifle that he hunted with a peep sight of his own design. He had good mechanical skills because his father was one of the first farmers in northwestern Manitoba to use steam-driven machinery to farm. And he had a natural gift for horseback riding. And he also was intensely interested in anything he put his mind to. He only had a partial grade 11 education when he went away to war. But in terms of his intensity and motivation and diligence in working, he really achieved a great deal, and he was a far above average intellect, although on the surface you would think, well, he's just a farm boy with just a limited education.
And he was persistent, and he was courageous, and he loved this country.
He was tall, handsome, relentless, brave. His men worshipped him. He was everything that we want in a leader.
And we want to thank the grandkids and John Wright, and of course the author of William Barker, VC Wayne Ralph, for making sure that monument happened. And William Barker, thank you for your service. May you rest in peace.